winning all 4 quarters. Tell your neighbor, I gotta win all 4 quarters. Come on up, minister, and pray the word for me. Amen. Amen.
Father God, we praise you. God, we magnify you because you are worthy. Oh God, and we're coming before you with the word of God. God, you said we have not because we ask not. And God, we ask that you bring forth the word out of the man of God on today. And God, we ask that you bless every soul here that will be satisfied and filled up with your word. God, that they may come forth and say, God, what must I do to be saved?
Yes,
God, bless this word. Hallelujah. Bless it with your anointing and power from on high, God. We praise you. We glorify you. We thank you, God, for what the word that you have put in the man of God to bring forth to us. God, help us to be obedient to your word. God, bless us, keep you, God. And we pray for this community, God. I'm praying, God, for that person that's in that trailer right now, God, that he will come out, God, and say, what must I do to be saved? God, we're looking out, God, hallelujah, for those outside that will come in. God, hallelujah, you're coming back, God. You're coming back for people that have made themselves ready. God, help us to be made ready, Lord, by you, in the mighty name of Jesus. Bless us, keep us, bind the enemy. In Jesus' name we pray. Thank you, Lord. Have your way. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. God bless you. You may be seated. We're going to talk about today winning all 4 quarters. All 4 quarters. See, we have to understand that we are in a race. Somebody say, I'm in a race. Paul understood that the experience of a Christian could be likened to a race that is set before us. The Greek word for race is used here is agana, and that is translated to mean a conflict or a struggle. The Christian experience is one of conflict and of struggle. Y'all believe that inside here? That if you're a Christian, you're going to go through conflict and struggle. Why? Because your flesh does not want to obey the will of God. It does not want to deny itself for the sake of the ministry. Your flesh is in a constant struggle and a constant conflict because it wants to do what it wants to do. Am I just by myself inside here? The flesh is always in conflict with the spirit. It does not want to do the things of God. It does not want to be brought under subjection. It does not want to be denied. It is jealous of the Spirit of God. And don't even think about going on to maturity in God. Because don't even think about moving past your desire to sin and going to the level of committed ministry to God. Your flesh will really act up then. Therefore, Paul rightly makes the analogy that we all have a race. We all have a conflict and have a struggle set before us that requires us to run with patience the race that is set before us. Why the need for patience? Why patience, man? You know, who got patience inside of here? Who need more patience inside of here? Who needs some more patience? Why the need for patience? Because it is not a sprint, it's an endurance race. See, it can be likened to a marathon. See, sprinters can run fast on energy and due to ability alone. Anybody can run fast for about 100 meters. See, I was running with I coached track a little bit, and I run with those young guys, and they were like, no, Mr. Baker, you can't run. And guess what? Because then I had run a long time, but I went beside the guy, I run against Zach Jackson. You believe that? Running them older seniors and stuff like that who was in top physical condition, and I wasn't. And guess what? I was running right there with them for about 60 yards. Because at 60 yards, I felt something begin to shoot in the back of my leg on both sides. Because I had not stretched, I had not been warmed up, and even though I was running fast against them, because it was a sprint, I can keep up without conditioning, but I could not do that in a long distance run. Because you can exert your energy and run your heart out and still win in a sprint, but not in an endurance race. They don't need conditioning and practicing or the wisdom that the distance runners need. Distance runners have to learn strategy and patience. They will be in this thing for a while, so they must learn how to run for a long distance. And since this is football season, right? And this is Rep Your School Sunday, you can liken the race to the struggle and the conflict of a football game. We're going to make it like a football game. You can analogy it to a football game. And though I'm not an Alabama fan, my sister's all Roll Tide. I don't know where she got that from, but she's all Roll Tide. And even though I'm not an Alabama fan, I'm a fan of Coach Saban in a way. I learned a lot from Coach Saban. And one thing about Coach Nick Saban is that he has very good leadership skills. And one thing I admire about him is that whether they are losing at the end of the game and the game is out of reach, or they have won so far, they're up by 49 points at the end of the game, he still requires his players to play 4 quarters. I was listening to him on the radio, and he got mad at the stadium, mad at how empty the stadium was by the 4th quarter. He was saying that you want these guys to play their heart out, to keep working, and I'm still here fussing at them and getting on them all the way in the 4th quarter, but because the game is already over, you want to go home. He said, so you want 4 quarters out of them, but you don't want to stay for 4 quarters. He requires 4 quarters out of them, whether they are up or whether they are down. He requires them not just to win the game, but he wants them to win all 4 quarters. Just yesterday, they went up 28-0 in the 1st quarter, and then they didn't score much in the 2nd quarter, and they asked him at halftime, I said, guess what, he ain't going to be happy. They up 49-0, he won't be happy. And guess what, he was not happy. He said, I would love it if we played better in the 2nd quarter. We did good in the 1st quarter, but we didn't play well in the 2nd quarter. And we have to understand that we got to win every quarter. Somebody say every quarter. He requires them of that. We have to learn that our goal is not just to slide into heaven, not just to try to skid our way into heaven, but we want to win every part of our journey for God. We have to win all 4 quarters. We have to learn that we should dominate every phase of the struggle and dominate every phase of the conflict that we experience. We have to win all 4 quarters. Somebody say 4 quarters. So the 1st quarter, and we'll move along with you guys, I may be worrying you a little bit. The 1st quarter, we got to start strong. Somebody say start strong. We have to come into every situation with a sense of urgency and strength. Paul states that we look to Jesus, who is the author of our faith. A great author writes the beginning of a book so well that it hooks the reader so they can be motivated to keep reading. If God is the author, you should be excited about starting anything for his glory. You should be excited about that. Too often the problem with the body of Christ is that too many Christians are not excited to even start something for God. You got to be excited about consecration. You got to be excited about new ministry. We are so timid and so unmotivated that we are not even starting with a sense of urgency. If God has called you to an assignment, you can at least start strong in it. You can at least start strong. I know you have apprehension. I know that you don't think that you're good enough, but I dare you to start strong. Stop going to every situation with indecision and slowfulness. Put your whole energy into what you start for the kingdom. Don't allow the enemy to think for a minute that you're not going to bring all that you have to the fight. Whenever I start something, I want to start strong. I want the enemy to know I'm bringing everything with me. I'm bringing all my prayer life. I'm bringing all my praise. I'm bringing all my consecration. I'm going to start strong. Start strong so the enemy is so intimidated by your beginning that he fears your end. Some of us can blame our lack of urgency on prolonged prayer. Can I preach to somebody inside here? Some of y'all praying too long. Oh, y'all said, Pastor, how you going to say that? Some of you praying too long. Because you pray to get direction. You pray to get commands, don't you? And there's no point that after God has told you what to do that you are still sitting there praying and you say, I'm waiting on God. God said, no, I'm waiting on you. I've been told you what you should be doing. You want to sit here and pray because you ain't ready to start yet. And we blame it on God sometimes. We say, I'm just waiting on the answer for God. No, you already heard God. You know what God said, but you don't want to believe in what God said, and you don't want to do what God said. But you got to get to a place that, Lord, once I get the answer, it is now time for me to start strong. I don't care how many times you've been disappointed. I don't care how many times you failed. Maybe it didn't work before because you didn't come out the gate strong enough. But this time, somebody say this time you need to have a Jonah spirit. If God gives me another chance and he lets me out the belly of this big fish, I will start so strong that what should have taken me 3 days will only take me 1 day. You have a game to win, but don't focus on the game. Focus on the 1st quarter. You have to start strong. You win the quarter and you win the battle just by starting strong. Somebody say start strong. And then this is the 2nd quarter real quick. And so you start strong and you're doing well and then when you start something for God. But then the next quarter is very important because the next quarter talks about persistence. Persistence. And this is where the body of Christ, we mess up. This is where we lose out on what God wants us to have because we lack persistence. persistence. The enemy is not going to be defeated in the first quarter. He is not like us. He can take a hit and still keep fighting. This is where you will need some persistence. Persistence is a firm, obstinate, continuous in a course of action in spite of difficulty or opposition. It's the ability to keep going even when you have obstacles in your way. Persistence is key to success in any area in your life. Any area, anything that is worthwhile will have some opposition with it. Anything worthwhile. That is how I determine if I'm in God's will, Elder Sims. I see that sometimes if it's too easy, maybe it's not God's will. Because the devil ain't going to stop me from doing good. So I learned that if I have obstacles and opposition, maybe I'm in God's will. And the chance for victory is multiplied by those that can persist. I'm researching stuff for school, and we're trying to start a new advising model for kids, hopefully to move up our graduation rate. And I'm doing some research, and the research says that if you can get somebody to just stay in school, they will probably graduate. Thank you so much for this support. Sister Brown. If you can just get somebody to stay in school, they usually graduate. Persist. If we can just get you to go from one course to the next, what are you taking, 12 hours or 6 hours? If we can just get you to persist, then we will have you will graduate at a higher level. And what we don't want is for people to take a break. Can I be real in the house? How many of us, don't raise your hand, how many of us, we said we're going to take a break and we never went back? Am I being real? Yeah, we can just be honest inside here. Sometimes you say, I'm going to take a break, and we never come back. One of the things that we try to do at MGCC is discourage kids, from the students, from dropping out of school and taking a break when the opposition hits their life. When the opposition hits and maybe I got sick and I want to take a break, guess what happens? It's hard to come back. When opposition comes and your car breaks down, I want to take a break. Guess what? It is hard to come back, isn't it? So what we don't want to do, we do not want them to take a break, because if they take a break, the chances of completing are very slim. So we try to tell them to try your best to persist in spite of your circumstances. So let me tell you that if you would just persist, somebody say persist, the opposition will crumble in front of you. You can outlast the enemy. He is not God. He does not have unlimited power. He does not have unending patience. You can wear him out. You can beat the opposition if you persist. Once you determine that nothing will stop you from doing what God told you to do, the enemy is already defeated. Don't lose the second quarter because you lack persistence. Because baby, this is where the rubber meets the road. This is what separates the real from the fake. A lot of people can start strong, but everybody can't persist when the going gets rough. And some of you are in the second quarter of your struggle. Some of you are in the second quarter of your struggle, and the only way that you're going to win is you persist in spite of opposition. This is where you must be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord. For as much as you know that your labor is not in vain, y'all better hear me. I learned that sometimes you just got to stick with it. You just got to persist. It may get bad. You may be sick in your body. You may be discouraged. But if you can just persist, if you can just persist, and I've seen people lose out on what God wants to have them have in their life simply because they can't stick with it. Simply because they cannot persist. And so if we move on to the third quarter, and in the third quarter, I've learned that whenever teams are losing or even when they're winning, the coach looks at ways that they can adjust. And I want you to hear me today, because the third quarter is the time for adjustment. Somebody say adjustments. Somebody say adjustments. If you're going to do the will of God, there's some adjustments that you got to make. There's some adjustments that you got to make. See, God don't change, but we ain't God. So guess what? We got to change. You see, great coaches look at what happened in the first half of the game and make the necessary adjustments in the third quarter for the second half of the game. Only people that are either satisfied or not meant for excellence and abundance will live life without making adjustments. Only people who are satisfied, because I am not all that God wants me to be. I'm learning my flaws in the midst of my walk with God. It is interesting that the more I walk with God, the more I walk on this journey, the more I see how much I have to change. Now maybe you all sanctified and you good and you ready to go see King Jesus right now. But guess what? I got some changes I got to make. I got some stuff that's inside of my life that is not pleasing to God, that I must change and I must make adjustments, because this journey itself has a way of revealing things that you need to change. You find out how limited and how lacking you are in the midst of the trial. That's when you have to make adjustments, because we make adjustments because there's some things that you can't have being the way that you are. There's some places you can't go being the way you are. If you've not changed for the better in the last 5 years, you have wasted 5 years of your life. If you're going to please God, you have to make some adjustments. If you're going to be victorious, some things must be altered and changed in your life. That is why some people don't like this kind of preaching. They want me to tell them that they're all right and that you're good the way you are. But if I preach that to you, I'd be doing you a disservice. Because if you plan on growing and moving to higher levels in God and in the natural world, you have to make some adjustments. Some of us are in the same position in life because we want to be promoted without making adjustments. We want that new position. We want that new level.